Good day,
Is he taking
Rabbi.
the strap off the guitar?
No.
Oh, yes, look at that. Ooh, I know what that means.
Rabbi, do we have a opinion?
You look happy, you know?
You know what? I'm just flicking through here, and you know, when we're in the sanctuary, I'm really I get to look at everybody, and I don't often like. I know I look at you. I'm looking for cues from you, but I tried not to look at you too much just now with all the faces and everything you've been making. Everybody else probably saw them, but just to be able to see some faces. Not that I don't like looking at Sharon. I love, looking at Sharon, right? But
Well, I tell you, it's great to see so many people on. Chris
Yes.
and Jennifer are on, and Lisa
Laura.
and David and
I saw
and
Laura. Laura,
Sharon
thank you for that
Laura,
message. I
and
appreciate that
Ellen
very
from
much.
California is on. Ellen, my sis, howdy sis, and Valerie Anderson is on, and of course Carol is there. And oh, look at this, we got the Brouillards together. I love those candles that you have, and I loved hearing you sing. That was great. Marion Berman is on, and Nancy's on, and Ann is on, and David, and good to see you there, John. The Halperns, it's great. Oh, look at this.
Edmonds?
You got a friend there. Sharon, who is that? I can't hear you, but it's great to see you both. Howdy.
You got Laura's song.
And Laura, oh, good to see you, Laura.
Sharon's
And
on.
the Fishmans are on, wonderful. So, does this make you feel a little closer? Nod your head if it makes you feel a little bit closer. That's what it's all about. This term social distancing. God, what is the opposite of social distancing? Is it social contact, social closeness, social intimacy? I don't know, but it's time for some of the opposite of social distancing. I mean, even though we can't do it, we yearn for it. That's kind of the story of our people, not in the relationship to contagions, but in our relationship to God. That God is out there, and for some people, God is just so far away. And we can't see God, but we want to somehow connect to God. And so we do this ritual that in Hebrew is called the korban, comes from the word karov. Korban, it means closeness. We do this ritual to be close to God. And the thing that is the korban is why people came to Jerusalem, or in the time of the Torah, when they came to the portable house of meeting, the portable temple that we had, and offered their sacrifices. And the word for sacrifice was korban. It was a gift that we would give, and it would be offered, and the priests would take it, and they would burn it up. And it would bring us close, karov. We would feel a closeness to God. Now, there were certain things about this, the specifics of it. That's what this week's Torah portion talks about. And there's some interesting parts in it that even the priests had to give a sin offering, because it doesn't matter who you are, everybody sins. And they acknowledge their sins. They acknowledge their mistakes with the sin offering. Everybody does. And if you were too poor for a sacrifice of an animal, a bird or something, you could give a little bit of flour. Everybody was welcome to try to be close to God. We're told that the greatest reward in the world is to be close to God, and we're told that the worst punishment is to be far away. But so many of us in our relationship with God, it's like we isolate ourselves. I don't want to deal with responsibility for other people. I don't want God in my life. I don't want to deal with that. And they, I'll use a metaphor. Can you imagine sheltering yourself up for a week without going out? They're kind of like that with God. No, you know what? I don't want that. And when you push God out of your life, you just get farther and farther and farther away. But when you welcome God in, you get a closeness. And that closeness gives you a sense of calmness, a sense of place, a sense of direction, where you're going and who you are and how you fit in. And it's lovely. It's that closeness is just lovely. Right now, if this world were a jigsaw puzzle, all the pieces are taken apart. They're all over the place. There's a lot of mess going down. There's a lot of who knows what's going to happen. And all these things are, can you imagine? Almost all the business is closed. No one even going out hardly at all. Can you imagine? I couldn't even imagine this. I couldn't even imagine it. And it's not just us, it's like all over the world. The Pope, and there's a really good Pope, by the way. Catholics have got a great Pope. He had a few words today, and he says, we're all in the same boat. Doesn't matter what country you're from. Doesn't matter. We all need to row. We can't just sit there, we've got to row. I like that analogy. I'm going to go with the analogy of the jigsaw puzzle and all those pieces all over the place. Now is a time to envision putting them together the right way. It might not necessarily be, and I guarantee it won't be the same way that it was put together before. Our world is in pieces. How are we going to put it together in a better way? Wow. I guess in some ways now is the best opportunity we've had, the best, to make things better on a large scale. Because how can we bring things closer together? How can we take the words of our prophets as a vision for this jigsaw puzzle we want to paint, where nation shall not lift up sword against nation, but they'll beat their swords into plowshares. And everyone will sit underneath their vine, their grapevine and their fig tree, and no one will make them afraid. These are such powerful words. And justice will well up from the ground, and righteousness will be a mighty stream that covers the earth. That's a vision. We can put together those puzzle pieces now. We can do it. You have to think about what the image looks like. What does that image look like? How can we connect things? It's all about closeness. It's all about not distancing, but how can we bring contact and closeness together? We who are in such an absence of it right now, and we realize how important it is. How can we lay down our swords and build things up the way they should be, the way it ought to be? Well, it has a lot to do with reaching out. It has a lot to do with listening to what we value. There's no commandment more repeated in all of Torah than kindness to strangers. If you start with kindness to strangers, if you start with that, you're going to build a beautiful, beautiful world. A beautiful, beautiful world. I think that's what we need to focus on right now. We're kind of like in a cocoon. We're in a cocoon. How are we going to emerge? How are we going to be butterflies? And I'm going to do a little twist of a word there. Don't think butterflies. Think, how are we going to be better flies? Well, flies doesn't really work, but the butter to better works. The flies part doesn't work so good. How are we going to be better flies than we were before? That's our task. And that's what we're called to do right now. Sitting in this cocoon, how are we going to design the world better? With that, I'm going to tell you that we're going to come together tomorrow morning, and Cantor's going to start singing at 8:45, same place. I'm going to talk about the Haftarah. It is a really, really good Haftarah. You might want to look at it ahead of time. I'm going to focus especially on Isaiah chapter 44. Isaiah 44, the Haftarah, really, really good and very relevant to what's going on right now. I got word from a couple of people. One is, our Shema Tour project, where we're taking and helping out a community on the north end of Hartford. Laura Saul Boxterman and Janet Miller and Morgan really led an amazing group of people and set out to say, how can we help? And people came in droves. And speaking of droves, they dropped things off at Laura's house, and Laura drove them over to the north end of Hartford. And this is the note I got from the Archbishop. He says, "Hi, Rabbi. Trust that you and family are doing well. Thanks for the church donation. It is indeed a blessing. Please stay safe." He wanted me to be sure to let you know that how grateful he is for that bond, that connection, that we're the closeness that we're making with them. I want to just take a moment to remember